6 feet apart.
I called and they said, get tested.
I'd like to bring the meeting to order. If you'll please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. This is called the Unity Prayer. Dear Father, help us to be united in this meeting the same way you are in unity with your Son Jesus and the Holy Spirit. May we be of one spirit and have a common purpose. Holy Spirit of God, fill this place with your power and help us to walk in unity. Even though we come from different backgrounds, help us to find common ground through which we can agree and come up with a lasting solution. Help us to be quick to learn and listen and slow to anger when others share their ideas. In Jesus' name, we believe and pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone, to the January 19th meeting. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lingo?
Here.
Mrs. Moody?
Here.
Mr. Parsons?
Here.
Mr. Redding?
Here.
Mrs. Stosa?
Here.
Mr. George?
Here.
Ms. Sheets?
Here.
Okay, everyone is present and accounted for. That's great. You have the minutes before you from the last meeting. I can't make my fingers work, but I have them. Anybody have any corrections that they've seen in the minutes? And if nobody has any corrections to make, I'd like to ask for a motion to adopt.
I make a motion to adopt as printed.
Make a motion. Mr. Parsons has made a motion. Ms. Sheets has seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I have no correspondence. Anybody else have any correspondence they'd like to bring up? Guest and special events, none tonight. Public input. This is a period of time in council meetings where we invite the public to give us input on anything that they'd like. We got anything going on, Bill?
I don't see anything. A couple people are watching, but no comments or
All right.
questions at this time.
Well, as always, if somebody does come in, we'll go back to it.
Great, okay.
Committee reports, business and partnership. Before we get started, I guess, Jenny has called me and asked if she could give up the We Thrive and Cindy Sheets take it over. And Cindy has agreed to that. Jenny will still stay on then. You'll pick up the business and partnership? And you'll stay on the beautification? Okay. So there will be no business partnership tonight because it's kind of a transfer over. Bill, if you can make note for Ray that Cindy will be in charge of We Thrive, and Jenny's
We
taking
Thrive.
over the business and partnership.
Okay.
And then the Alliance, Jenny will do that too?
I can do the Alliance. I'm in contact with the person a lot, so that's fine. And, you know, we can share in some of this too. The beautification is pretty much planting flowers in the spring, so if you like to plant flowers. If not, don't worry about it.
Okay.
And watering.
Yes. We'll move on to beautification then, Jennifer.
I have no report.
Okay. Finance, Mr. Parsons.
No report.
Parks, Ms. Lingo. No report. Safety and Streets, Mr. Redding.
No reports, but there is a Public Works year-end summary in here. I saw that we used 104 tons of salt this year, at least, well,
Well, it's from last year also.
yeah,
last winter.
from 2020, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm still stuck in 2020 year-end close, sorry. But, yeah, 104 tons of salt is what I added it up to be. So they did a lot of work, painting, striping, so excellent job. Thanks Thanks to the street department. I did have a couple of questions. Bill, have we heard any more on any of the grants or how anything developing in the street areas or, for the projects we wanted to do? Have we heard anything on those?
No, I mean, in last meeting's packet, there was, we challenged a couple items, and I think there's a public hearing coming up on that, and, but no, nothing for this last round has been awarded.
Okay. Okay, and I did see that in the packet. I'm just not remembering everything that was in that, though. And then, anything on any grants for streets or safe pathways to school? Anything on any of that?
No, I mean, just that, we finalized the safe routes to school acquisition that was needed for Compton, for Adams and Hamilton to address that part of the grant, which was striping and handicap ramps. And everything else is done for the north part of Compton there for the sidewalk replacement, so.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Thank you. Thanks for the update. Sorry, got a little out of touch the last few weeks, so.
That's all right.
That's all I had.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Redding. Schools, Mr. George.
No report at this time.
Okay. Library, Ms. Dosa.
Nothing new to report.
They're not open yet, are they?
No.
Urban Tree, Ms. Lingo.
Karen wanted to know what everybody's opinion was on the planting the trees versus on the curb, on the easement area versus on somebody's property. Does anybody have any?
Yeah,
Anybody?
Well, if they're on the easement, they're the city's issue. If it's on my property, it's my issue, right?
Think so.
Well, I think that what she's.
I mean, I'm just asking the question.
She's just trying to make them grow better because of the garbage and stuff.
Right, I
that's
get
it.
going into the-
Right. I think, I'm assuming on this, a couple things. I mean, we plant them, but then they become the property owners.
Even if it's between the sidewalk and the
Yes.
street?
Well,
All right.
if they fall, we get them out of the
Okay.
street.
Good.
If they're dead, we will sometimes remove them just because we don't want it falling
Sure.
at 1 o'clock in the morning. Other than that, it's the homeowner's property there. I
Okay,
mean,
that's good to know.
But I think what Karen might be saying, because one of the things, there's always a lot of discussion about that area and the quality of the soil, how much debris is left after construction, different kinds of things. And I know an example was given, I think I may have shared this, was that like in Wyoming, they've gotten away from making plantings in there because it's not the ideal situation. And when they come through, on a street project and there's trees removed, a lot of times they're giving plants to the owners and planting them on their property
Yeah.
just because it's better soil, better things like that. So I think that's what
That's
she's
what-
asking.
yeah.
Is do we weigh this out? Would we prefer maybe, instead of looking on the tree line areas, is to engage with the property owners and they could plant it in their front yard, side yard, wherever?
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I think Wyoming does that in some
And
other
I was going to
communities.
tell her too, what you had mentioned, maybe she can come to a
Yeah, the next one,
engineering meeting.
pre-construction meeting, yeah.
Construction meeting, talk about the garbage that they put back
Right.
Right.
when they're doing that.
I mean, I do know that back in the day, when concrete was built with forms and it was, I mean, it's pretty amazing nowadays, the trench that they dig and the machine that comes in that pours that concrete down. And I'm not saying there's not some waste, but that's money to the contractor, right? So they do everything they possibly can to eliminate, that type of debris. Now, does it happen? Sure. And I know Karen, has concerns a lot of times the soil gets run over a lot and it packs down and it's not as good for growing. But, but yeah, she's welcome to come, the pre-construction.
I just told her I'd bring it up and see what you guys' opinion was on it.
Well, it's a matter of putting a tree on the right-of-way or putting it
On
on,
your property.
letting them put it on their property, and it becomes their responsibility. We're giving it to them for nothing. So
Right.
is that an issue? Is that one of the issues she's talking about, or?
I think sometimes or sometimes she'll ask for a donation just to help feed the, some property owners have done that. Some haven't. It's fine. It's not a requirement. So, I mean, I guess maybe it's something to think about. Maybe probably for some, it's the first time you're hearing that option. And our next project, once it's done, because a lot of times, it's not, we let things settle and do it, so, do it a few months later, do it in the fall or the spring, not in the middle of the summer, I guess, too. So it could be something that we could maybe address after the next project, and you're not kind of taken back from it and
Right.
saying, yeah,
I
hey,
just
we
wanted to
have
let you know what she's thinking.
40 trees we can give to property owners and get them replanted instead of in the truck right away.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's it.
Can I add one other comment?
Yes, Mr. Redding.
In the process of doing that, I mean, because we've had a lot, I mean, our streets look really nice with the big mature trees. I would just caution that when we do put trees in, that we keep them, try to keep smaller trees so they stay below the electrical lines, so we don't have so many outages, electrical outages, from storm damage and stuff like that. So if we could have smaller type trees, that would be great too.
And I think
So-
they've done that. I think they did that on Perry Street. They planted different types of, typically the power lines run on one side of the street.
Right.
They planted two different types. And I know the arborist with the state, Wendy,
Wendy.
is very much, all her conversation is the right tree in the right place,
Yep.
And sometimes there's no tree in a place like, small, those kinds of areas. So I really like Wendy's guidance on that too.
Yep. Yeah, I still get her emails.
Okay. Jenny, you have nothing on We Thrive then?
Oh, except that we do have a meeting next Tuesday. I'm going to make sure Cindy
Okay.
has the link. I'll be there on the meeting, too.
All right,
It's a Zoom
super.
meeting. If anybody would ever want to join those Zoom meetings, you're more than happy to join. We try to get as many people involved as possible, and sometimes it's a struggle. Our meetings are usually the fourth Tuesday from 4 to 5 o'clock. Try to keep them at 5. Sometimes they go a little over, and if you have to leave the meeting early, that's fine. But if you're ever interested, we can send you the link, and we would be more than happy to have you be involved. And Cindy, I think you'll find there's a lot of good information, and it's good work. So, thank you.
Okay. That's the end of the committee reports. We're going to move on to the mayor's report. Mr. Wolf.
Yeah, just two things to add. Trinity Lutheran is having COVID testing this Friday from 1 to 4. So just want people to be aware of that, and there is an opportunity to do that. You can go there. You can also make an appointment through Hamilton County Public Health site. It is one of those test sites. And then Tecan Farm is updating their website, and they're looking for testimonials from anyone that has been involved there or benefited from having it in our community. You can go to their website, and there's a contact us page where you can contact them if anybody is interested in leaving a testimonial for their page. Both people on council and people at home. Anyone who has had an experience there that they'd like to share with the community. And that is all tonight.
Okay, super. That's all?
Yep,
Wow.
short tonight.
Questions for the mayor? Okay. City managers report, Mr. Coker.
I got 3 pages, so I'll make
Okay.
that point now.
That's cool.
But just to piggyback on that, I actually had a voicemail today when I got in from Mary down at Tickham Farm, talking about, I think over the weekend, they had a huge turnout of people picking up food down there with their food bank, and they had some people that were usually there to help them. I mean, and I don't want to, overstate it, but in her words, I know it was a mess. And she kept apologizing and said, I hate for this to be the first thing, but I really was appreciative of understanding. And they have a plan, set forth with some of they're trying to spread it out more. Right now, they're only getting it, having pickups a couple days a week. They're trying to spread that out more so that the traffic isn't as impacted. They had some people that typically work with them and that were out this weekend. So, I didn't receive any calls, but the way she described it, maybe the mayor, it was a pretty, typically, I'm sure on pickup days, there's a lot of traffic anyways. It just seemed like this weekend was a lot worse, and they have some plans and are putting forth effort to try to minimize that as much as they can. So I do appreciate, those kind of heads up calls, so that we know, and, if you guys can hear it, yes, we're aware of that. They reached out to us, and they are working on it. So anyway, that was that. Just a couple quick updates of getting going here in 2021. One of the things we're going to get going out of the gates, because it's fresh in not only my mind and some others, but the Civil Service Commission. They had a lot of activity in the fall between doing a police exam plus a fire exam, and And there's always a few questions that come up, and we kind of addressed it kind of quickly with, trying to address how we're going to do it with fire, added some language, whatever. And it just is, we need to do an update of those rules to get it flowing better, address some things. A good example came up, Gary Connor mentioned, like, we give credit for an honorable discharge, but would we give should we consider for a medical discharge, somebody that it's not a dishonorable, we don't want to give somebody credit for that, but a medical could have been something outside of their control. So a lot of good things. It's fresh in everybody's minds now with some of these questions, so we're just going to kind of roll into that with this year. Eventually it gets to council anyway. We'll have a red line version of the changes and updates and everything. So hopefully something that we'll see here, in the first half of this year. Get back to you guys.
Question, is that the policy manual?
No, that is the civil service rules.
Okay.
So, same company, and eventually because they're long overdue as well, of needing an update, especially with social media and all the, things. We're not so worried about long distance phone calls now as we are what goes out on social media. So that needs to be updated. But civil service is not as complex, not as long, and like I said, since we've got momentum, it's a good time to get it addressed. Same company, Clemens Nelson, they're our consultants that'll help us.
Thank you.
Something else to put on our calendar for 2021 is our general fund levy expires this year, every 5 years. And we actually, the last time we put this on, we put the language, got it approved from the board and everything that it was going to be a continuous levy like our others. I got all the way up to the state and they bounced it back and said the levy passed and it's good for 5 years, but you can't do a continuous levy for a general fund. But the question I think we need to think about is, do we want to do this in August or do we want to do it in November? We know in August the impacts, especially lately with how expensive it is. It's a renewal, I obviously it was good, I think, what we did with the fire levy, not knowing and what there's such a need there. This is a smaller levy, but it's important. Renewals typically favor well, but it's something that we need to think about, I think. If we need to, we want to start, it's a two-step process, and we'll get that process going, end of March, 1st of April. So if we're going to do it in August, we got to do that. So just something to think about. We don't need to decide tonight. So there.
Mr. Coker, you say is that 5 mils?
No, 5-year levy. It's
5-year, 10.
it's like a one and a half.
1 point something?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's a little bit less than our 1.5 mil street levy, but that's permanent.
Okay,
Yeah,
one,
so
1 point something mil.
slightly
Okay.
less. Yeah, it's a weird number because it's the oldest. It's the oldest, I think, property tax levy we've had out there. So it's a weird number. We'll have that exact amount when we get time. Yeah.
It's the inside millage piece that we're, right?
No.
No, it's, okay.
Inside millage is always there and never goes away.
That's right.
This
Okay.
is an additional, we have essentially 3 levies, right? We have a fire levy, 2 parts to that, an older one and the new one we just passed.
Yep.
We have a street levy, and we have a small general fund levy that
That's-
funds the general fund for that. Last meeting, I don't know if anybody caught it. One of our sick council members at home did, but it was too late. And the irony about it is we talked about it. We talked about, I think, as just kind of discussions with Councilmember Sheets, we talked about we only had 4 people there last week, and we couldn't waive any rules. We just had to take a first reading, and then about 15 minutes later, we turned around and waived the 2 reading rule on the assessment for high grass and trash removal, and voted on it. Which really, all that we really need to do is that was really in effect a first reading because we didn't have the authority to waive it. So just a little bit of a hiccup. That's why it's back on the agenda again tonight. So another thing that we're getting started on. With Alex, who continues to work from home, but is an update of our website, which is greatly needed. and it professionalizes it. You know, there's a lot of communities out there that use a third, an outside vendor. We kind of created ours years ago in-house, and it's just really needs an update. And I think you'll be very happy with it. We worked with the company. We're going to spread the cost over 3 years and get it up and running, though, hopefully here by mid-year. So, yeah, you'll see a lot of good updates on that. The other thing, I don't know, we have two things we want to talk about. We may take a little bit more discussion that was in the packet, and that is the TEC report for Bernard, and as well as the Rumpke piece. We need to get direction on that. So you guys have a preference, or TEC first,
Well,
or go?
I just wanted to say, I did quickly read through this. I don't know about everybody else, but I just got my packet today.
I haven't found mine
Oh, you did?
yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I was happily surprised by on the TEC report about how few speeders that we did have.
There are some, right? Yeah, the average, I mean, every street you're gonna get some on there.
Yes.
But, yeah, you know, I question the fact that there was a 24-hour period, like, should have done it longer, you know? And they, and he emailed me back and said, no, I mean, traffic patterns aren't gonna change that much. They can get a good snapshot in that time frame.
I was surprised too.
Yep, I would have thought it would have been higher, but, and 20 to 29 miles per hour is, my God, you're only 4 miles an hour over the speed limit on a hill. Half of it's a hill, so.
I mean, like, I believe the neighbors are what they're saying. I mean, there were a few in there that were, approaching speeds that concerning. I'm sure on a narrow street like that, even if you're going 45 miles an hour, it probably feels like they're going 70, especially if your kids are out.
Kids
But
are out, yeah.
I mean, it's sadly, you guys have read the report. I mean, they don't recommend, and it's sometimes it's you think, oh yeah, a stop sign will slow down traffic. Sometimes in reports in here,
They said,
that'll speed it up. It's like, you slow down and you're still in that same hurry and you speed up to get up to the next stopping point or whatever. So, I mean, we can, I apologize. I didn't know you just got your packets today. I mean, you guys can read this a little bit more. There's not really much, you read it, there's not really a whole lot of action to take on this unless we want to have them do more.
Well, based on what I see there as far as the speeds, my only recommendation would be just do a little more patrolling
Right?
and watching for speeders.
Yeah, and and that's what we do. And like I tell people, the best thing to do is to call the police department. And this was, this isn't a new topic, right? We moved. I don't know if it's still down there. I know we moved the speed is still there. The speed thing down there. And when the police have it, but they get a lot of complaints, right? So they're constantly rotating on it. But yeah, I mean, I'll share this report with the police and say, hey, continue to keep your eye on it. There are some speeders down there, and I'm sure that they will. But if you guys want to discuss more at the next meeting, or get with me before, and we can talk a little bit more about it. But this is something that we had talked about doing.
thank you for doing it.
Yep.
I guess.
So Rumpke. We need to let Ray know. Just a quick recap on some of the things. There was, we did it with the other 5 other communities. I think 4 of the 5 were fifth in there. Three companies came to a pre-bid hearing. Two picked up bid packets. And unfortunately, we only got 1 bid back from Rumpke. So that obviously limits some of what we can do. I still think, though, you step back and look at this, it's still a good rate. If you were on a subscription with Rumpke, you would be paying easily double this, if not more. And so, really, I think what it comes down to is the 2 questions of do we go to every other week and save a little bit of money, nothing really significant. And I feel like recycling recycling in itself is a decision council made a while ago. Sometimes you could probably talk to 10 different people and get 10 different answers on their thoughts of what recycling is. But I think council and the city think this is something that's good. This is something we need to do to try to, lessen our carbon footprint and so forth. So we're gonna, we could easily say, we're not gonna have recycling. It saved our people some money, but in the long run, I don't think it saved. So, I think in talking to Ray, it's, especially this go around, I think our opinion, I know our opinion is we keep it at, every week pickup on the recycling, and we give it a shot with these waste toters, $12 a year for folks to try to minimize the impact of the complaints we get with garbage bags or animals getting into bags, people not using it, If we don't see an impact or we don't do it, or we can always take that back the next time. It's for a 5-year contract, that's $60 for somebody to have a, large toter. I know for some people, like I think Denise even said, it might take you 3 weeks to fill up something that big.
I don't know if I could physically take that up
Yeah,
to the
and
front.
there'll be some of that, and for people, you don't have to get, you can tell them, I don't want that, but we can't go through everybody and say, you got it, you don't, you got it, you don't. So, but again, this isn't, this isn't something we're really wanting to dig our heels in on. It just, we try to get as many alternatives, and you go from there. So really, it's up to council. I just need to give direction on what we want to do.
Question. The one question I've received is, if we go with their container, can you have other containers alongside that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. If you have and other places will have, and Ross brought this up. It's only $1 for the first one. If you want more than one, it'd still be $2.50. But yeah, you can continue to put out, and they really want it to go in the garbage. It's just easier. The bags don't break. It's just a smoother process. But so I don't know. Is there any thoughts?
I'll give my thoughts. I'm in favor of every week recycling, because I put out 3 times recycling than I do trash anymore. And I would like the $1 garbage can,
$12.
$12 a year. I think I'm in favor of that because myself and a couple neighbors pick up trash for 3 days after the Friday pickup. And I'm hoping this will help control that.
Right. No guarantees, but I think
I know.
it can't hurt.
I
Yeah.
know.
But I think it's helpful. It could be. But anyway, Denise.
I'm for that every week for the recycling too. But I don't think I'm for the giant garbage cans, because the few people that only have like 1 or 2 bags that don't use it, I don't think they're going to use it, just to put 2 bags in there and take it out to the curb.
No, right.
But
Like I said, if people don't want it, people aren't going to have space in their garage. They can call Rumpke and pick it up. It's the same as the recycling bin. Some people didn't want the recycling bin, and
love the
they had it taken back.
But let's be clear, though, if they don't want it, they still have to pay the $1 a
That's
month.
exactly.
I agree with
$1 doesn't bother me. It's just,
I agree with the weekly recycling because like Ross, I have as much or more recycling as I have garbage. But I go with the majority here, not paying the extra $1. I think all we would do is save those 670 people that are currently renting them. We'd save them $1.50 a month, and we'd be paying that for them. So, and I don't think a lot of the people would take advantage of it anyway. So, I'm for just keeping it the way it is, just increase.
Okay.
I don't have much opinion either way, but I'm going to throw this out there. For the amount of the extra $1, I know our budgets are tight and everything. It would be nice if the city would just provide one. Just because they're paying pretty big on the fire levy, and I don't know whether paying $1 more will say to people, gee whiz, now I got to pay $1 more because of something I don't maybe want, and I'm paying more on a fire levy, and then we're going to be asking for a renewal. I just don't know how much that would cost the city to provide everybody with one, so, that's probably a wish.
I'm doing the math right now.
Good.
About $24,000.
Okay, all right.
It's we've got 2,000 units. It's $1 a month. So yeah, That's,
say
we have
I'm,
2,000 billable units.
right,
Right,
I get it. And then if people don't want it,
right.
then
Right.
it's not costing the city that much, but I'm good either way. I mean, I'll pay the extra $1, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Redding?
I could say, I would fall in the category of, yeah, I don't need it. Same thing. I mean, my wife and I probably, we're lucky to use one regular-sized garbage can anymore. I mean, our recycling, we fill that up every week. I
Keisha,
mean, we're
you just use
hard
one can?
recyclable.
We got a bunch of,
Recycling.
no, I'm not gonna go there.
But I mean, even,
I get
I
it.
mean,
Were you about to say that?
I say I put out like four cans of garbage with
Yeah,
my family,
I-
but, I get it. That's,
Yeah, I put
sometimes
out 4.
decisions have to be
I'm
made
one.
based on,
I mean, but-
not personally, but based on the common good of the city.
Right, right.
That's what it comes down to.
I give my wife all the credit in the world. I mean, she's hardcore recycler, so,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I walk upstairs with a receipt in my hand, she's like, either shred it or put it into recycling. It ends up in recycling either way, but I
Right.
mean, it's,
I get it.
so,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we
use the
didn't-
heck out of the recycling.
You know,
so-
we didn't have a
And it
huge,
really reduces our garbage.
right. We didn't really have a huge impact trying to get feedback, on that. We tried, but it didn't, so. I don't know, do we want to do I just need direction. I mean, I get, like I said, I guess it's majority rules. If we've heard from 3 people, definitely. Jenny's kind of on the
I don't
fence.
feel too strongly about either way, but I think it's important. I agree with everyone about the recycling.
Okay,
yeah, I do too.
so yes on the recycling, no on the waste cans?
I like the waste cans
was
to
gonna
get the
say, I
big
like the
one,
waste
and I have very little. I mean, I'll put my trash out every other week sometimes, except in the summer, and then I'm,
Really depends on the household.
Yeah, it does, and I mean, that's the
And
thing. I
that's
mean,
what I
you
was
could
gonna
argue
say.
that with the garbage in general, right? People say, hey, my neighbor puts out 5 huge cans every week. I put one out every other week, but I pay the same amount? You do.
But sometimes during the year, I put out more than I usually do, too.
Right,
And
depends-
the thing
yeah.
is, I think part of it is trying to make sure that people put out credible garbage containers
Right.
that don't cause litter. And as a person who's on that Get Trash Committee, which right now I'm kind of behind picking up trash, and it's getting pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's very discouraging when, you're trying to keep all your trash in a container with a lid, and, like I'll have a neighbor that, and I get it, puts just bags out real
Right.
late at night, and so far, the animals haven't gotten in it, but I'm just waiting for the day when it's just all over the neighborhood, and guess who's gonna be picking it up? Probably me, because if they have 1 or 2 things out in their yard, they never pick it up. So, I mean, that's just the way people are, but it's almost like you wish, that people were more considerate of the trash,
Right, I mean,
situation. I don't know.
And living this with Ray, I mean, a lot of times you'll get complaints
Yeah.
about, hey, there's trash all over the street.
Right.
It's got to be the Rumpke driver, right? Well, you don't, I mean, you can't ever, unless you got a video of him throwing it out there, right? And we've had this conversation with Rumpke, and Rumpke said, you drive up and down your streets, there's bags, there's cans without lids, on a windy night, stuff's blowing everywhere, it happens. So, like I said, I mean,
We've had incidences up in the business district where businesses are putting their trash in the city receptacles and they're overflowing.
oh, yeah.
They're not even using a garbage can, they're not even purchasing a garbage can that needs to be used for their business. They're stuffing it in, and it's terrible.
Right.
Some of
That's
the
been
businesses-
addressed a little bit, and we
Yeah,
did
So
get
you
some
wonder
letters out, but
if
yeah.
that has to be part of the cost that, maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right, no, I get it, so.
That's hard to figure.
Well, look, like I said, do we want to, I mean, I just need direction. I know we got 3 no's, do we have another firm? We have 2 yeses over here. I mean, really going to come down between Jenny and
Great.
Cordell.
Yeah.
You said you don't
No
really.
pressure.
I don't want to be the one.
I swear I'm sending you the bill, Jenny.
Huh?
I said, I swear I'm sending you, no.
I'm not running for reelection, so what the heck? Yeah. So, okay. I mean, I don't put a lot of trash out every week, but I'm willing to pay the extra $1 just for the sake of making sure, hopefully, that the trash situation will be better.
Right, see, Cordell, you should have spoke up, because now it's down to you, man.
You know what, I won't do, for my wife, I'll spend the extra $12.
Okay.
Oh, what a great husband you are. Give me a break.
What do you mean for your wife? Is she half the one that has to roll it out there?
No, but,
I was wondering about that.
but she will be the one to say, the one or two times she does, it'll be like, oh, God, I hate that garbage can. So.
All right.
Sounds good.
You know, look, and it's something we can always remove. It's a 5-year contract.
I will say, I just bought 2 of these, so I don't need one, but I'll get one.
Uh-huh.
They're $100 a piece.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are. I bought one from Lowe's and one from Home Depot, and they were each the same price.
You're right, garbage cans are expensive.
Right.
And the one I bought a couple years ago is terrible. It's pulled apart
These
right
were
away.
both the 96-gallon toters. These are what we're getting.
Okay.
So,
And if they, you know, if one's destroyed, broken, whatever, you can call them and they'll replace it out. So that's all, you know, I
Well,
often
that's an
hear.
insurance situation right there. I'm paying for,
Right.
okay.
Well, you keep saying it's $1 a month, but we're already increasing $1.15.
Oh, We're
Yeah.
saying it's $1 a month.
$1.12.
Yeah. Oh, it's a big, it's a pretty substantial increase, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, what are we going, up $1.12 up?
Yeah, we're at 603 now and it's going to,
17.24. So it's $1.21, and this would be $2.21. I don't think people want to pay an extra dollar, so.
I think people are gonna be pretty cognizant of what we're asking. That's why I was asking
Right.
if it was possible that the city could pay for part of it, but I guess not.
well, and I guess the thing is too, like I said, and I'm, you know, what we're doing here is saving, and I've seen the subscription rates. If you live in the township, you're paying $90 a quarter.
You are, you-
easily.
yeah.
So, you know, we are at least doing that, you know, and, you know, we put some skin in the game because we don't collect 100%. You never collect 100%, right? But there is an administrative fee built into that, you know, so,
Is that?
and I don't know, I mean, maybe go ahead.
No, please.
I mean, I'm just shooting, you know, from the hip here. I don't know, maybe, I mean, $24,000 is a lot for the city, I think, to swallow. I
It
mean,
is.
But maybe it's half, you know, I don't know, 12 grand, half of it, an
That's
extra 50 cents.
every year.
No, so basically, the city, we would bill 50 cents less so that we could, you know, than what the all-in cost is. It saves the people, you know, but that's $6 a year. Again, I don't know, on the waste cost, you know, the waste toter cost, so, I don't know.
Does the city have the money to do that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
We do.
$5,000 here, $10,000 here, it ends up, you know, being real, you know, a lot of money. But, I mean, if council felt strongly, we could definitely try to make it work. We just have to figure it out where it's in the budget. I mean, we're not flushing cash, but, you know, but again, I guess my point would be, is that even gonna be on somebody, I mean, again, I know every penny counts, but paying $6 more versus $12 more versus, you know, the city throwing in 12 grand a year for, you know, something else that we could do that maybe has a bigger impact, I don't know. So,
Yeah, and as far as trash blowing around the city, I think a good portion of that is people who just throw it out of their cars.
I see it.
I really do.
I think so too.
Sadly, I can't believe it,
Yep.
but,
Well, that's another whole conversation. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll take up
Yes,
a new
and we
business
can't-
about the garbage cans, because
Right.
Get Trashed put out something about the city and garbage cans, so.
right. Well, but honestly, I mean, I think we had 4 people that were in favor, right? Joe, Keisha, Cindy, and Jenny, right? So,
Yeah, Bob's ready to beat me to death because I beat him to death on the property tax.
We got enough socialism with our other taxes. We don't need more
I know, the
socialism
one time I should
with our
say no, I
garbage bill.
didn't.
all right.
I'm just reducing the Christmas budget, so that's how I'm gonna make it.
Christmas.
No comment.
I know what Debbie's getting for Christmas next year.
You got it.
All right, and then, again, I'm trying my best. Tonight, there was an ordinance resolution on your desk. And I want to spend a little bit of time kind of, you know, with the new law director, you know, everybody has a different approach in how they do their job, and it's great. And Scott's kind of giving Bill and I some direction on some things, and just kind of do a quick recap on when we're going on to people's property, right? And I think there's a whole gamut of this, right? I mean, we've been through where we've condemned properties, we've condemned them, we've gone on, we've tore down the properties, and we've assessed that. That's obviously a pretty extreme case, right? And you know that process. We have public hearings, we have notices, beyond belief. I mean, we've had times when property owners have come up here and we've still continued to, they didn't meet the requirements, and we've done what we should have done and moved forward with that. So notification on those kinds of things has happened, is continues to happen. Let me swing to the other side of this thing where, we are pretty aggressive, on certain things like high grass, right? We've got to the point where, we send out one notice a year and telling the people what the regulations are, what they need to do, and if they don't, the city's going to come on and do it. And that might happen in April, and we do it, and you guys know it, we assess those things all the time, right? It may be fine for another 4 or 5 weeks. If it happens again, we go on and do it. We don't notify them, wait so long, we're pretty aggressive on those kinds of things. And I think it's good. It's good and bad. It's bad for our maintenance guys, right, because they cut a lot of grass. But we keep, a lot of problem properties for those people that live around it, in good shape, or decent shape, I should say. But then there's these things that kind of fall in the middle. And it's where it's a little bit more than a grass cutting. It's going on to people's property. And lately we've had some of these, and I didn't have, I was choking the printer on the toner. But you see these first two here, that's a property on Harrison Avenue.
I know which property it
Yeah.
is by my house.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I don't, and obviously, we've made many attempts. It was a drawn-out situation where we actually had the original owner in court, got some things, they were cited, the problem was gonna be resolved, and that person died, and then their son took over, and it's the same thing, still ongoing. This third picture here is a picture on Warner. Front of the house looks great. The back of the house is just awful. And the third one that's listed on this ordinance is, very well up at Hamilton and Compton. And that's even a tricky one with the auto that's on there that's covered up. We'd really be pressed to go up there because we can't go on private property. We got to witness this stuff, right? But Scott wasn't as comfortable as Dan were. We've done some of these things like in the past where one of the assessments that you did, I think back in November, was somebody abandoned a pull-behind camper, with no VIN number. We didn't know who owned it. It was on that property. We gave notice. Finally, we got somebody on there and took it off without getting a resolution from council. But Scott's more comfortable with these kind of in-between things. Like you see this, where we're probably going to hire a company to come on and clean these things up. He just wants council to be more in the loop on it. And again, I told him, like, I gave the example of we're going to try to manage this with, some common sense and urgencies and those kinds of things. Like, we had an issue over, and we talked about it, was the garage that was damaged that Mr. Curley repaired. But, that property had bags of garbage. It had, ice cream things with just, imagine growing in it, right? The stench was awful. We were getting complaints from Assumption. People couldn't even hardly go to church. We're not going to, we're going to give that person notice, a quick notice, but we're not going to probably come to council on something like that, wait 15 days and all the other stuff. We're going to get it taken care of. We're going to abate it. We're going to have documentation. We're going to have clear pictures. And Scott's okay with that. So we're going to just try to manage. But when we get to a point where it's this bad, we're going to hire a company, probably assess it, 800,000, who knows what it's going to take to do that. We're going to run some of that by council. So that's a little bit of a change. So I just wanted, and I think it's good for you guys too. That way, oh yeah, I remember, yeah, what's this big one? Oh yeah, we did that. Or, it'll take a little bit before we get to the assessment on that.
So you add our administrative fee on top of whatever we pay.
Oh yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
Is there any concern about the homeowner getting violent when people come onto his
Well,
yard?
could be. We'll, I talked to Bill about that to make sure we can try to coordinate with the police where we
Okay.
can. Yep.
I hate to see somebody get hurt.
Right, you know, I mean, there's always risk, you know, always look at what we're doing, you know, I'm being aggressive on properties that just have continuous frequent flyers, we call them on grass. I'm less worried about, you know, these, you know, you know, the property owner could say we didn't, but, you know, have the right to do that, but I think this will just show that we do, so. There's always that risk, though, you never know, right? So that's just something new. And if you don't, I mean, I know you're getting a lot of this thrown at you. I took some pictures. I think it's obvious. If you want to just do a first reading, it's just, we pass it at the next one, and then it's 15 days after that. So it's up to you guys. I don't,
Buy it every day.
right. That's all I have tonight.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
I hate to pile on, but this is something, we got to deal with the tall weeds and everything else too involved in this. And I don't think council's ever really laid out a clear plan for Bill, because I know at times it's got to be frustrating for Bill, is like, you know, what constitutes an overgrown yard too, right? Which is also, we have some houses in Mount Healthy that have that issue, seems like every year. Do we need to get more direction around that for Bill to work with, or?
What,
And
are
I
you
know it's-
talking about just high grass, or are you talking about shrubs and everything?
Everything, yeah.
That,
To where you almost can't see the house and,
man, we've had this conversation a
exactly.
lot.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And, you know, we get a lot of pushback on this one. I mean, the grass thing's not an issue. I mean, it's pretty clear cut.
Right.
We've been able to do that. You know, you get into what is, you know, I mean, I've heard it all. Is this an indigent, you know, what is the word? You know, species to this area? You know, so that becomes very, very difficult. And you know, it almost becomes out of Bill's, like, you know, because everybody has, I mean, you know, you have fence rows, right, in people's property, depending on your property, that has vegetation growing up, that has honeysuckle all grown in it. You know, some people could argue that that's not landscaping, that's not that's not natural, you know, so, I mean, that gets a lot trickier, it does,
Yep.
so.
And my thought is and I know Bill has dealt with this over the years, and it's like, what can we do to make his job? Or
Right.
to give him better direction to
Right.
help
Well,
alleviate some of
well,
this.
something like this is helpful, but again, you know, just knowing, him knowing you guys have his support, hey, we're aggressive. I mean, the fact that he doesn't, every time somebody's yard gets 10 inches, have to send out certified mail, wait on that to get back, go in, do this. I mean, we post it, we send it out, and you got to do it. If not, boom, then it really becomes more of a burden on our maintenance guys, you know, because they're out, you know, Greg will tell me, I mean, you know, you see it in there, it's in his report, how many yards they cut, right?
Oh, yeah.
Jenny?
I was just going to say, we worked on this a couple of years ago, and we had some people get all upset in town because they said, somebody was saying that we were trying to tell them what they can grow in their front yard and they can't. And I'll tell you, this winter when I was walking, I had a neighbor a couple streets over say to me, gee, I heard that you're not allowed to grow vegetable plants in your front yard. And that all stemmed from when we were looking at that maintenance. Remember we were looking at that?
We
And
looked
Bill
at it.
said, give me some guidance. I don't know what to do. Give me
Yeah.
some guidance. I'm getting complaints, but I don't have any guidance from council.
Exactly.
And we kind of dropped it because it got to be this, you know, you won't let us grow this and you won't, and that's not what we were talking about. We were talking about severe maintenance issues where you couldn't even see the house. So what if the police or the fire or EMTs had to go in and they couldn't even find the front door?
Yeah.
Or it was all hiding cars, wrecked cars or trash, and you couldn't even see it.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what the reason was, yeah, keep that stuff growing so I can just throw stuff back there. So I think maybe we need to relook at it again. I don't know, maybe get some guidance from Scott.
Right, well-
I don't know.
Well, some of this will be addressed, and trust me on this, you will see the zoning rewrite.
Good.
You know, it's been completed. It went to Gordon and Bill for the kind of their last review of it, and we've had COVID issues there and people out, and then so it just seems like, gosh, every time we get this thing a little bit closer, it gets kicked down the can gets kicked down the road a little bit. But yeah, you will see, and it does address some of this stuff with vegetables. You know, it's hard for me, you know, growing strawberries in your front yard's one thing, growing corn But we do talk about, some of this stuff in the new zoning, right? And again, this is a committee that's put this together. Council's gonna have the final say, and we might be able to tweak some of that. But it gets difficult when you start, it really does,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, yes,
Yeah, the
Cindy.
debris, I mean, I walk every day, and and actually, I'm purposely walking Mount Healthy, every street. And the thing that's hard is, I mean, you either can't, the trees have grown or the bushes have grown, and you're constantly having to get off the sidewalk because there's just no, it's too low, or, it's out on the sidewalk. So I think just from a safety factor, to clean up, around sidewalks, to get those cleaned up and,
We do. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I do know Bill does do a lot of citations for those. We do contact people on a fairly regular basis saying, this has grown over the sidewalk, it's your responsibility. Sometimes they'll do it, sometimes we have to go in and do it. But I'm not saying every sidewalk is
well,
clear.
on the
So,
other hand, I'll tell you, I'm just thrilled at how wonderful the area is that I've walked. I mean, it's just, Adams and Compton, I've been down all those streets, and, a couple people have stopped us and asked us, because my neighbor walks with me, and, what are you doing? It's like, we're getting our steps in, and we're trying to find new ways to walk, and we want to see the city. And they're like, oh, okay, so the architecture is interesting, the landscaping is interesting.
great. But yeah, if you have a real problem area where the whole sidewalk's blocked, let us know.
When I go walking, I keep see-click fix on my phone. Bill got tired of me, not this Bill, the other Bill this summer, because I was hitting the same two spots every time I went for a walk. I mean, it just wasn't getting better, and eventually they did. But I had the issue down by the dialysis clinic. The bushes are coming out over the sidewalk, and then also Clover Nook Apartments, they were coming out over the sidewalk on Adams. And every time I walked, I got my phone ready, because I knew it was gonna be an issue, and I pulled it out, took a picture, and submitted it right there. So it did take a little while, but they did get cleared. It's just
Takes a while. It's
a
creative.
suggestion, yeah.
Our people are creative. Some of the stuff they come up with is
Yeah.
just wonderful. And it's really fun.
Great. Thanks, Ross, that's all.
Okay.
One thing.
Hmm?
Did we make a decision on the Rumpke?
I've counted 4, right?
I'd like to hear a motion and a vote.
Okay. You make a motion then.
Nobody vote for my motion. One of the 4, please. I don't know what it was. Is it 50 cents extra, or
Okay.
was it $1 extra? Well, somebody make a motion, please.
I make a motion to adopt, tell me if I'm wrong here, fellas.
I would say it's a recommendation.
I make a recommendation on option 1. Keep the current choices for recycling, right? No 96 gallon, and at 1724, correct? And option 2, receive a 96 gallon waste cart that would increase the monthly charge by $1, making the total to $18.25.
Mr. Redding has made a motion to adopt motion number, or item number 2, was it?
Option 1 and option 2.
Option 1 and 2 would increase the cost to $18.25 per month. Do I have a second?
I have a question.
Okay.
If we do opt, how can we, I don't disagree with where you're going, but if it says on option 1 that there's the 65-gallon recycle cart and no 96-gallon household waste cart. So wouldn't we be going really just with option 2? Where each household will receive a 96-gallon waste cart that would increase the monthly, making the total monthly
Oh.
charge $18.25?
Yeah, I get what, okay.
Yeah, I get what
Yes, I get what you're saying, yeah,
The option 2 included
Option 2.
option 1 and.
yeah.
Honestly, what I would rather do is just, first of all, we're not approving anything, we're just making a recommendation, right? because I don't, maybe 2 years from now, we may not even have a copy of what option 1 was, what option 2 was. I would just say that somebody make a motion that states that, you know, that we are going, you recommend that that we do the once a week recycling, and we add the additional $1 for the 96-gallon cart. I think it's just clearer versus trying to go back and remember, because,
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is, we're not, we've got to keep with garbage pickup and recycling. I mean, even though that's a consideration, I don't even think that's in the discussion. Really, what I'm looking for is clarity tonight on, there were some options, right, or alternatives. So we're not approving anything, we're just a motion by council that we maintain a once per week recycling, and we increase, or then we have add the 96-gallon for $1. Does that make sense? That way, if we're looking at this from 3 years, it's pretty clear what we did tonight.
Do you want to
work for
restate your
everyone?
motion, or you want me to just do it?
Yeah. So Melanie, you want to take
So
a
are we
stab at?
making a first and second on the motion, and then everyone's gonna do an aye?
Well, what's the motion, though?
Joe, redo the motion.
So my motion is, I guess it would be $18.25 a month to cover the 65-gallon recycle cart, and an additional part of that, included in that $18.25 would be the $1 extra charge for the 96-gallon waste cart.
With the recycling collected every week.
Yeah.
With the recycling collected every week, yeah. That would be the $18.25, right?
Yeah.
I have a
course.
question. Why you add $1 to 17.24 and you get 18.25?
I was going to ask the same question, Bob, but I left it go.
It's called rounding, Bob, it's accounting.
Round up.
I saw that and I was like, that's $1.
Right, because I think that our, when it's a percentage increase, and the percentage takes it, so, yeah.
Okay, so it's 18.25 to get the cart, the 96-gallon waste
Yeah.
can.
So do we have a clear motion? I still don't know if we do.
We do.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay, Mr. George has seconded that motion. The motion was stating that we're keeping the weekly recycle and adding the 96-gallon trash cart.
Right. Do a roll call vote?
Yes,
Are we doing a roll call vote?
Yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Mrs. Lingo?
Nay.
Mrs. Moody?
Nay on the recycling, nay on the other.
Nay, nay.
Mrs. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
No.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Ms. Sheets?
Aye.
Merry
Okay,
Christmas
by
to
voter.
Mrs. Redding, right? Merry Christmas
Was
to
that
your
5-2?
wife.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Hey, but thanks for doing that, but I think
the-
it's good to have it clear in the
I
notes.
think it is.
I didn't know where we left it with the
I thought,
paying 50 cents or paying $1 or,
It's not
Motion is
even-
carried by a vote of 5
Yeah.
to 2.
And Ross, since yours is going down $1.50, you got my back on the other $1?
I'm not renting one. so It's only going up $1. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Coker? Okay, we're going to move on then to the Finance Director, Mr. Bauer.
Well, it falls off all the time. Thank you. It's these chairs.
Anybody got questions for Scott?
I didn't look at it. Did everything come out good? No.
It's nice to be past, it's a tougher month to close than some, just getting all the coronavirus stuff, corona ones, but, yeah.
But all the accounts came out positive.
Okay. Thanks, Scott. Okay, ordinances and resolutions. We have a second reading on an ordinance 21-1937. You have a new copy of that on your desk this evening,
We
and
do?
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
No.
I do.
I did.
I don't.
It was in the packet.
Oh, it's in the packet.
Is it in the packet? I apologize.
Yeah, the one on the desk is about the three properties that we just
Okay.
discussed, yeah.
Anyway, we made a boo-boo. Who runs these meetings anyway? We had the first reading and we voted on it, and we could not vote on it because we only had 4 members here. So I guess we stand at having the first reading then.
We've
that
already had
correct?
a first reading, now tonight is the second reading,
Yeah.
either.
Okay. So we had the first reading on ordinance number 21-1937, an ordinance assessing the cost of removal of high grass and weeds and declaring an emergency. Questions or comments? Okay, then I will ask for a motion to adopt ordinance 21-1937.
I make a motion to adopt.
Mr. Redding has made a motion to adopt. Do I have a second? Ms. Sheets?
I make a motion to second it.
Okay. Roll call.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George,
Aye.
Ms. Sheets.
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 7-0, ordinance 21-1937 is adopted. Second reading of a resolution. Resolution number 21-1156. A resolution requesting the county auditor to make payments of taxes pursuant to Ohio Revised Codes 321-34. Mr. Bauer.
Just enables us to request the funds. We're not
Yes.
actually doing it, but just saying we may want to do it.
How's that commercial go? It's my money and I want to,
I want it now.
yeah, I want it now. Questions? We had the first reading on the 5th. Ms. Lingo.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 21-1156.
Ms. Lingo has made a motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Mr. Parsons has seconded.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George,
Aye.
Ms. Sheets.
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 7-0, resolution number 21-1156 is adopted. Then we have a resolution that was on your desk. Resolution number 21-1157, a resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement. This is in regards to the properties that you have the pictures of in front of you.
Sure, yeah, the one I didn't take a picture of is the one at Hamilton and Compton. I figured everybody was, and actually, I tried to go by tonight, but the sun was so glaring, I couldn't even get a good picture. But you know the area behind the bank there. Again, the car might be a challenge that's there, that's covered up, but the debris and you know, and it's mainly weeds and stuff that have grown up. A lot of them have died off right now.
Is that the owner of the building in front and everything?
Yes, all the same, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, questions, comments, council?
And again, I'm not pressuring you to do this tonight. I know you just are seeing it. We can take a first reading, pass it at the next meeting, hopefully, and then it'll be 15 days after that. So it'll be about a month before we can start to take action on it. But it's,
I kind of think we need to take a first reading just because I certainly agree with what we're doing, but it kind of gives the homeowners, I mean, we've contacted them many times, but I don't, is it crucial that we do it the first reading?
no,
This time of year, I don't know.
yeah, I do know. All I will say is we are getting a lot of complaints. I mean, we got neighbors on Harrison that are taking out or requesting about permits for fences to keep the trash that they've got from blowing down there. I mean, you know, and this is, yeah, I mean,
How many attempts have we made?
oh, multiple. And
Well, then-
the hard thing, and like I said, the one on Harrison, it's been through a whole process through court. They were found guilty. They were ordered to change it, to do it, and then they passed. And then a family member kept it going. I mean, it's a junkyard. It really what it
Right.
is. It's their, you know, I don't know. And So even then, they'll still get, even based on this ordinance, that's one of the things Scott that's, said, is that it's our ordinance that after we do anything, it gives it 15 more days. I mean, we can shorten that time period too, maybe something that we want to look at. That's not what we're doing tonight. So, I mean, I hesitate to say because I know there's a lot of frustrated folks around these properties. And a lot of times for Bill, the hard part is even getting, I know the one on Warner, the person lives out of state. And, and when you got LLCs and trying to get a hold of these people,
Right.
I mean, it's not something that just popped up. So this has been going on. But,
Okay.
again, if you guys want to wait, I can totally understand because it's a whole new I mean, we've discussed this a lot in the last few days with Scott and Bill and trying to get a good kind of these things that kind of fall in the middle, right? We know what we do with houses that we condemn, and we know how we handle the grass thing. This was kind of in the middle, so it's a whole new process. So I understand it either way, whatever council.
Well, I don't want to feel like somebody didn't do their job, that we got this tonight, but we just did get this tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe we need to have this as a first reading and then, but that's just my opinion.
That's fine.
I think I agree with Jenny, first reading.
So you want to have the first reading? Anybody disagree with that?
First
No.
reading.
First reading.
First reading? All right. January 19th, first reading. Okay, that is the only other new resolution that we have. And no ordinances or anything. So we then go to old business. Old Business Council. New business.
I guess this is new business. Shoot, I lost it now. In the packet, there was a letter from the chief about moving some shifts around for the PD.
Oh, that was last packet,
That
I
was
think.
last packet.
It was this packet too.
It was this packet too, yeah.
Well, there's one in here from the fire chief.
Right, this is about the police chief putting on a power shift from 10 to 6
Oh,
or something.
there was,
The same report from last time was in this time.
Oh, okay. That's,
yeah, the chief gave a summary of what our plan is to do with the two new cops, two new officers that we're adding on through the cops grant.
right. So, yeah, I mean, I just wanted to make sure council saw that and what he plans on doing with those two of those two positions anyway. I won't say those two positions, but
Right.
With
Right, may not
two
necessarily
positions.
be the same person,
Right.
but as part of the cops grant, we, the two focuses were on schools and what was on domestic violence, so, he's definitely gearing to put focus on those areas.
Yep, and then that calls to mind, how did we hear anything back on the SAFER grant?
Yeah, I announced that a while ago. We didn't.
Oh, okay, we didn't get, okay. I'm sorry, I must have missed that too.
Yep.
Okay.
But on that same note, I'm glad you brought it up, and I know this was brought up too, the fire chief did a summary of where we are and moving forward with the
Hiring.
hirings. And I know, Keisha, you can add anything to this. I know they had interviews, first group of 4. I think the committee recommended for 3 of the 4 to move forward.
Correct.
And so we have another group of 7 that's right behind them. When is? It's,
Those are going to be scheduled the first week of February,
Okay,
so,
yeah, so it's moving. Everybody has done done the agility.
we're done with the agility testing.
So I think Steve's comfortable with the group of people that we do have.
Yes.
There were some concerns. I know some other communities around couldn't even get enough, people to even interview. So, I mean, I think we have at least 11 that we're going to definitely be interviewing, so it's good.
Correct, we do.
Okay, super. I look forward to them getting up and running. I guess on that same note with the fire department, how are we for facilities here in the office, in this
Yeah.
building to,
Well, you know how those construction guys are, right? They can just pick and choose their jobs these days, but, no, we actually had Tomlin who
I'm
did.
smiling.
You're smiling under that, right?
Yeah,
Tomlin, who did the original remodel, gave us a proposal to modify the office over here that will put in an additional sleeping area, and do some other modifications. And also, we're gonna move, this is separate from the fire, but while we have them in here, we're gonna move the police clerk upstairs in the mayor's office, and utilize that space better, put in a window there so she can take payments, and so forth. So, again, we're waiting on, we've got the bid, we got everything, we're ready to go. It's just when they're available to come in.
okay. Well, if I win that 750 million tonight in the lottery, I'll kick in for a remodel. If,
That's funny.
okay. Other new business, council. Denise?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Lingo's made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I second.
Ms. Dosa has seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.